Peter Charrington, non-executive chairman of Tottenham Hotspur, has written a letter to the fans and, among other things, states that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. A report in the Mail details some names of players that may or may not be at the club next season. Robertson and Senesi set to join Spurs now that Premier League survival is secured. Christian Romero posts on social media, but it probably isn't the message that Spurs fans were expecting. Harry Kane sends a message of congratulations to Tottenham for staying in the Premier League. And Gary Neville launched a scathing attack on Tottenham Hotspur despite the club securing Premier League survival on the final day of the season, branding their campaign pathetic. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And please make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. Peter Charrington, the non-executive chairman of Tottenham Hotspur, has written a letter to the fans. It reads, "Dear supporters, on Sunday, despite a season that gave you so little, you gave everything, a full stadium, full voice, full belief, until the final whistle. I have thought carefully about how to begin this letter, and in the end, that moment said it better than I can. It is why we owe you honestly about why we have fallen short and what we are committed to now. Last September, we recognised that something seismic had to change at Spurs. The Lewis family stepped in and authorised a full reset. That decision was not taken lightly and it came later than it should have done. But what has been put in motion is real and it marks a genuine break from what had come before. As part of that process, we discovered some uncomfortable truths. The qualities that make Spurs distinct, our football, our ambition, the connection between the team and its supporters had been allowed to fade. Football success had not been driving our decisions. We did not have the right expertise in key roles. We did not build squads good enough to compete in the most demanding league in the world. 2 17th place finishes in a row is not acceptable, and we will not dress it up as anything other than falling well short of what this club expects. Since September, we have restructured leadership across the club with a refreshed executive and football structure. Most of this team are already in post and others will arrive in the coming weeks. The board are committed to this leadership group and will give them the stability and support they need to run this club in the right way. Roberto De Zerbi has signed as men's head coach for 5 years, a reflection of our belief in his ability and our commitment to build back to where we need to be. He is passionate, committed and positive in everything he does and represents the kind of football and ambition that Tottenham Hotspur should stand for. Our commitments to you are clear. We will build a squad led by Roberto as head coach with the right blend of experience, youth and leadership to compete at the highest levels of Premier League and European football. We will invest across multiple transfer windows to rebuild, balance and strengthen, with this summer representing an important first step in that work. We will continue to modernise our football operation with a significant focus on raising standards across medical and performance. We will increase investment in the academy to ensure that the pathway from youth football to the first team is one of the strongest in the country. We will build on a strong season for Spurs women by continuing to invest in world-class women's team led by Martin Ho. Since becoming chairman, I have realised that Spurs fans are built differently. I have seen it over and over again in the last 9 months across every generation, in every conversation. Even in the darkest of seasons, you showed up and carried this team. That loyalty is not something we take for granted. It is something we are determined to be worthy of. There's been speculation about the ownership and the future direction of the club. Let us be direct. Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. The Lewis family are wholly committed to this club and to the rebuild. They will provide the stability and investment needed at every level to move us forward, and they see that as a long-term responsibility and not a short-term fix. This season fell well short of what Tottenham Hotspur demands. We must be in the fight with the best teams in the league every season, and we are rebuilding this club with that standard in mind. This club lives in the heart of everyone who has ever loved it. It has been carried through living rooms and stands, weekends and long journeys home. We will be back to where we belong. Peter Charrington. According to a report in the Mail, João Paulinho, who scored vital winning goals against Wolves and Everton and in the running, is wanted by former club Sporting Lisbon, but Roberto De Zerbi has recommended that the club keep him. Antonin Kinski will also consider his options this summer, though he has done much to establish himself as a popular member of the Spurs squad in recent weeks, with Vicario still out injured. Vicario is still expected to leave, although Inter Milan, with whom he had agreed personal terms, have been exploring other options. Meanwhile, club captain Cristian Romero is still expected to depart, with hope that Atletico Madrid rekindle their interest. Spurs are rekindling their interest in a £60 million move for Manchester City winger Savinho as they draw up plans for a summer rebuild after escaping relegation on the final day of the Premier League season. And Team Talk report regarding incomes, there's a clear need to add stronger characters and leaders with experience to help shift the flaky mentality that pervades the club. And in Marcos Senesi and Andy Robertson, that's exactly what Tottenham are doing. The Bournemouth centre-back 29 and Liverpool left-back 32 are leaving their respective clubs via free agency this summer. Spurs previously agreed deals with both players, though whether they would actually join was always contingent on Spurs retaining their Premier League status. With that goal now achieved, both Senesi and Robertson are expected to become summer signings 1 and 2. Football.London report that Tottenham captain Cristian Romero has spoken on social media for the first time since all the fuss surrounding his whereabouts this week, but it's probably not what the Spurs fans and supporters were looking for. Romero had drawn criticism from fans and pundits when it appeared that his injury rehabilitation in Argentina would involve him missing Tottenham's crucial final day game against Everton on Sunday, and instead reports in his homeland claimed that the 28-year-old was going to be in attendance at his boyhood club Belgrano's Primera Division final against River Plate on the same day. While Romero is yet to post an end-of-season message to the Tottenham fans or share images from the game, on Monday he did post his first football-related words in a little while with an Instagram story directed at his first club, Belgrano. "Congratulations, champions, Club Atletico Belgrano. More than deserved," he posted to the Argentinian side after their 3-2 victory against River Plate. All eyes are now on what comes next for Romero, who is expected to be fit for his country at the World Cup next month, with the centre-back's future at Spurs, once again the subject of plenty of speculation. Harry Kane has reached out to his former club following a dramatic day and final day in the Premier League that saw Tottenham secure their top-flight status. The England captain, who is currently enjoying a trophy-laden spell at Bayern Munich, made sure to share in the relief of Spurs faithful after they narrowly avoided the drop. Kane has congratulated Tottenham and their fans after they avoided relegation from the Premier League on a dramatic final day of the season. Despite no longer being at the club, the legendary striker remains closely connected to the North London and was quick to acknowledge the survival of his boyhood team. Taking to social media to celebrate the result, Kane shared his excitement for the supporters who have endured a difficult campaign. The England captain wrote via his official X account, "Congratulations to everyone at the club, especially the fans. Massive fight and result on the final day." The Independent report that Gary Neville launched a scathing attack on Tottenham Hotspur despite the club securing Premier League survival on the final day of the season, branding their campaign pathetic and demanding major changes under manager Roberto De Zerbi. There were emotional scenes at full time as De Zerbi sprinted onto the pitch and supporters celebrated the relief of survival after one of the darkest domestic campaigns in the club's modern history. However, former Manchester United defender Gary Neville insisted the celebrations should not distract from what he described as a disastrous season. Speaking on Sky Sports, Gary Neville questioned whether Spurs players should feel ashamed after dragging one of the world's richest clubs into a relegation battle. He argued that despite winning the Europa League last season, Tottenham have become serial underachievers and claimed the past 2 Premier League campaigns represented new lows for the club. Neville pointed to Tottenham's dreadful home form as evidence of the scale of the collapse. The victory over Everton was their first home league win since beating Brentford in early December, leaving only already relegated Burnley and Wolverhampton Wanderers with worse home records. The pundit also warned that De Zerbi faces a huge rebuilding task this summer. Neville suggested some players appeared disconnected from the club and said the Italian coach must now drive a bulldozer through that dressing room to rebuild standards and mentality. The article also reflected on how close Spurs came to disaster. Earlier in the season, Neville had already criticised the squad as a concoction of misfits while the team languished in the relegation zone amid poor performances and managerial upheaval. Tottenham ultimately survived thanks to De Zerbi's late season rescue job after he replaced interim coach Igor Tudor in March. Spurs collected enough points during the run-in to stay above West Ham by 2 points, finishing 17th for the second consecutive season. Well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. I mean, firstly, sigh of relief, breathe a massive sigh of relief that Spurs have survived. It does feel like we can all breathe now and can enjoy the summer and the World Cup. That was a horrendous 2 or 3 months, wasn't it, to be a Tottenham fan, and we must not ever be here again, that's for sure. Firstly, the Charrington letter to the fan base. Now, things like this will always get criticism from fans. I'm not quite sure what they are supposed to say, to be honest. I thought the letter was quite good, but actions speak louder than words ultimately, and we won't know if the text of this letter comes to fruition until much later on. It's all very well saying these things, but we've been told these things time and time and time again. So it's literally a wait and see on this. But we should at least be able to judge the ambition of the board and ENIC by who we sign and probably who we let go over the summer. So after the transfer window shuts, we can definitely reassess and see, have they wanted success? Do they want this success? Are they willing to commit to this club? It says in that letter, and it will upset a few, probably myself as well, that ENIC don't, for the moment at least, want to sell Tottenham Hotspur. They're in it for the long haul. They've said that for months. They've obviously turned down offers to buy the club late last summer. And so it looks like they're in it for the long haul. So if they are, it's what we've always said, and all we can ask, put your money where your mouth is. We've got to pay the wages. We've got to get the players in that, and just make sure we're never in the position that we were in this season. It just cannot happen again. It cannot happen again. This club needs to be at the top of the league, pushing for silverware every single season. And the dereliction of duty by those in charge, you would hope, has given them a shot across the bows. So this can't happen again. And the way that they can prove and help that this is not going to happen again is fully back Roberto De Zerbi in the transfer window. So they can actually say they've done everything they could possibly do to help this manager and help the club. I thought it was a good letter, but as I say, actions speak louder than words. So let's see what happens there. As regards to possible ins and outs, Senesi, of course, and Robertson, you'd think they will be early summer signings, free agents now leaving their club. So those two, you would hope, would be early additions. But also, De Zerbi said in his post-match press conference that he literally starts working at 8 o'clock last night on next season, which is great to hear. The guy's just not going to rest. He's going to go through that squad with a fine-tooth comb and pick out the players that he wants, and hopefully, there's probably going to be some difficult decisions and players probably leaving that fans don't want to leave, but you've got to trust De Zerbi to get the job done and give him the squad, which is the most important thing, to give him the squad that he feels he can compete with at the highest level. We've got to let him get on with it, give him the keys to the mansion. He's worked miracles this season. So we've got to trust him and let him get on with it. And then it's up to the likes of Johan Langer to actually give the manager what he's asked for. And if he doesn't again, then I'm sorry, Langer's got to go. He's got to go because, as I say, it's a warning shot across the bows. It was near disaster for Tottenham. And you would hope that they bear that in mind in every decision that they make. So let's see what happens with that. It mentioned Kinski there, didn't it? Was one of them. I don't think that's going to come to fruition. I think Kinski's possibly going to be our new number one next season with Vicario going out. The Romero message, he hasn't posted, typical Christian Romero, he hasn't posted anything about Spurs. Personally, I think the captain of your club should be, the first post should be about the club you're actually at, and it wasn't. It was about Belgrano. Congratulate them. Typical Romero, isn't it? Personally, if Romero goes, let him go. All that debacle this week about him going back and watching his boyhood club, I think it's disgusting behaviour for a captain. So I think Romero's probably lost a lot of favour with the fans, me included. So if Romero goes, thank you for your service, but you've been a bit of a hindrance sometimes as well with your sending offs. Love the passion, but I just don't think he's the right choice for captain. Get down in the comments, let me know, who would you make captain next season? It's Mickey van der Ven, perhaps? James Maddison, I've heard shouts for. So get down in the comments, let me know on that. But certainly for me, Romero is probably time's up at Spurs, isn't it? But we should get a decent transfer fee from him. That's a good thing after he signed that new contract last summer. Harry Kane, of course, talking about people that have posted about the team. Harry Kane, quick on social media, congratulating Spurs. If anybody's actually ever noticed on his X account, he's still a picture of him in a Tottenham jacket. You can just see the cockerel sort of poking up like that in his image. So he's never changed that since he went by. And so, look, Kane is still a Spurs boy. I'm not saying he's going to come back anytime soon. Wouldn't it be great? How good would it be that Harry Kane comes back to Spurs and wants to play under Roberto De Zerbi? That would be brilliant. But look, good to see Harry Kane posting congratulations message on social media as regards Tottenham. And the final story there about Gary Neville. If you haven't watched that, I think it's on the Gary Neville podcast. It's certainly broadcast on Sky Sports, all over their social media. Exactly what Gary Neville said. I agree with almost every single word of it. Season's just not good enough. The decisions, firstly the Thomas Frank decision, the Igor Tudor absolute calamity decision, and they finally got it right. With Roberto De Zerbi, but it's probably best if you go and watch that. From what Gary Neville said in that interview, it's absolutely spot on. Look, these things can't happen again. The fans have helped drag this club back from the brink, and if it wasn't for the fans, who were absolutely fantastic yesterday, by the way, God knows where we would have been in these last 7 or 8 games. So I'm just pleased we got over the line eventually, and we can all breathe again, as I say. That's it from me today. Get down in the comments, let me know you're feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now. How are you feeling? And talk about any of the stories I've spoke about today as well. And as always, come on you Spurs.